Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Manchester United podcast. I'm your host for this evening, Niall Hannigan, and I'm delighted to be joined by Kieran McGinley. Kieran, welcome back to the Rollercoaster.
Yes, rollercoaster is a very good word, isn't it? How do we go from Thursday to Sunday? It's just a plummet.
Absolutely incredible, honestly. This club doesn't cease to amaze me. From the highs of Thursday to just a subdued performance and an awful result, really, if you think about it. Wolves have now done the double over us this year. Definitely not the first team to have done that this year. So can't say I was too surprised. And we'll get into it, I suppose, in terms of the game itself and the players that were put out in the pitch, etc. But let's just touch on Thursday as well. Kieran, you had your raw reaction after the match. What were your feelings? Because I was abroad for the game and it was incredible. I was running about the place like a madman.
No, nothing could have summed it up more than what Pete said on social media. Nothing more could have been said by that. If you haven't seen that video on TikTok, GSPN Man United, check it out. It was absolutely mad watching that game from start to finish. You're 2-0 up at half time and you think, okay, all right, this is good. But, in the back of my mind, I am thinking it's not over yet. There was some chance in that first half we should have taken. And then in the space of 71st to 78th minute, we then give up a 2-goal lead.
Yeah,
I thought standard United. And then they went down to 10 men just before end of 90 minutes. I think... I'm not going to say it was lucky that they went down to 10 men. I thought it's fair enough. 2 yellow cards, it adds up.
Both professional fouls, really.
Yeah, both professional fouls. So down to 10 men. And then even better is that Luke Shaw comes on and it's... and he gives away a penalty.
Yeah.
Come on. And that sends us 4-2 down. And I just think, what's the point? I sort of sat there wallowing and I thought, great. How are we going to lose to 10 men? I understand if you're losing to 10 men, it normally happens right at the end of the game where you've been pushing all 11 men up to get a winner and they just catch you on the break. I can understand that one. But these two were better playing with 10 men.
Yeah.
So much more organised. And then a penalty to us.
Mm-hmm.
Bruno Fernandes dispatches it. You've got Kobbie Mainoo being the coolest customer at Old Trafford, pulling out that finish, and you think, great, it's going to penalties, brilliant. What could go wrong here? And then all of a sudden, not 60 to 70 seconds later, it's Harry Maguire. And it's just, I'm sitting there looking at my screen thinking, is he on? Has he pushed him? No, apparently not.
Yeah.
To be honest, I sat there at full time and I went into my other half of the next room and she was like, was it a good game? I was like, no, it was terrible, but we won somehow. Unbelievable.
I think I woke up the whole house. I was honestly screaming about running about the kitchen. The only way I can describe it was similar to Ahmad's goal against Liverpool last year in the FA Cup. It was just that feeling of absolute disbelief. You're like, I can't believe what I'm watching. We are so bad, yet we've come up with an incredible comeback. You couldn't write it, honestly. Putting Maguire up top is just talk about last ditch, but so effective. Even the way when he was calling for the ball, the centre half was basically man marking him and dipped about 5 meters below the rest of his line because he was just terrified of what Maguire could do. And Maguire, using all the tricks that he knows from probably defending strikers, just kind of got that little touch on the hands, just enough to kind of put him off balance, and then headed it away. No, it was absolutely ridiculous. Honestly, and this is the toxic relationship that we all have with Man United. There's no other way to describe it. It's just why do I keep doing this to myself? This is why they're great, but they're also awful. And then this is what happens against Wolves at the weekend.
Well, this is the thing. How do you go from losing 4-1 to Newcastle to then somehow winning 5-4 on the night, 7-6 on aggregate against Leon, and then go and lose 1-0 to Wolves?
Yeah.
It doesn't really make a lot of sense. I know we're done and buried with the league now. I think I saw somewhere that we are now mathematically safe. So thank goodness for that. Celebration.
Still haven't hit the 40 points either.
I know, this was our best chance to hit 40 points, wasn't it? And we just didn't. We just refused. Sums it all up, though, when Wolves have a free kick, it's their first shot on target, and they score.
Mm-hmm.
Football Manager vibes. Football Manager vibes.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a pretty dull encounter as well, and I think that's just kind of the blanket term that we're going to put on the rest of these Premier League matches until the end of the season. I'm looking at May 1st. I'm circling that in the calendar for the first game against Bilbao, and to be honest, I'm kind of blocking out. I think we have Bournemouth next weekend. I'm really just trying to get over these Premier League games so we get to another European night, and it's such a strange one because, like, obviously we want to win the Europa League, but it's like if we're in the Champions League next year, that's going to be rough unless things need to change drastically if we're going to survive in the Champions League next year. But how funny would it be if us and Spurs made it to the Europa League final? I mean, talk about two absolutely horrendous seasons from both clubs.
Yeah. What would that say about the rest of Europe?
Honestly, yeah.
You know, it's a case of you've got 13th versus, is it 15th at the moment in the English Premier League, and yet somehow they'd make it to the final. We've got to get there first. We've got Athletic Club coming up first, who are by no means going to be a very tough opponent. You know, we got away with it against Lyon in both games. I have a feeling Athletic won't let us get away with that very easily.
No. And even like, I mean, Cherki, how do you pronounce his name? Cherki?
Yeah, Ryan Cherki.
Cherki, bringing him off as well was just such a strange decision from Lyon. I just can't see Bilbao letting us off the hook at all, and they have some really talented players, so it's going to be another rough evening, I reckon. But look, the magic of the Europa League, I think that's what they're calling it now. So let's see what we can muster up for that. But as you can see, we don't really care about the league anymore. Sure, it's kind of an irrelevant competition, really, isn't it? When Liverpool are winning it and we're way down the bottom, like, it doesn't really count for much.
All of a sudden, it just no one cares about it at the moment. You know, don't worry about it.
Yeah, we're a cup team, like that's what the club has been brought down to.
Yes, that's why we're only in one cup right now.
Exactly, we just keep moving the goalposts to suit us, and hopefully it'll pay off in a few weeks' time. But right, we'll take a quick break there, Kieran. We'll be back with just we'll touch on the Wolves game, you know, just to keep everyone happy, I suppose.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimize your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now. Your body is unique.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
So the game was by no means a classic. As you mentioned, Wolves, their first shot on target in the 70-odd minute. Free kick into the top corner from Sarabia. 2 shots on target from both teams. But, you know, Amram did say after the Europa League game that he was going to make a few changes to the team. He was kind of going to sacrifice the league in a way and make sure that his players and his best players and his best team that he sees at the moment is available and ready to go against Bilbao. We did see the debut for Tyler Fredrickson, the young centre half, and we also saw a couple of other appearances from the likes of Harry Amas and starting a couple of the squad players as well. Happy to see that. Do you think that's kind of a good omen for what we can kind of see next year in terms of maybe a new flux of players coming in from the academy?
I sort of wanted to see it 10 games ago. That would have been quite nice. You know, a little bit earlier in the season when, you know, it's pretty clear we're not getting anything from this season. I think as soon as Europe wasn't possible, even Conference League by league phase, it should have been a case of, right, we've got to give the youth a chance. They can't do any worse than what we're doing right now. And now that we're mathematically safe, we literally have nothing to lose. I am starting to think, Chido Obi Martin, yes, he was quite quiet. He got 20 minutes at the end of the game, but he's got to be given a chance because, Xerxes out for the rest of the season. We're having to play Garnacho as like an advanced forward now. And Højlund is misfiring, and he has done for a lot of this season. So this is literally, this is gifting Amram an opportunity to try out the youth, to give the youth a chance. And this whole club's built on that. So I think it's overdue, and given proper minutes, there's some tough games coming up, and what better way for character and player development than coming up against some pretty tricky sides.
Absolutely, and I think we have Brentford and Bournemouth coming up in the Premier League over the next few weeks. Like they are tricky games, like you mentioned. They're both doing better than us anyway this year, and have some quality players as well all around the pitch. So would be great challenges to kind of see. Are these lads up to it? Can we actually rely on them next season? Is it maybe squad players that we can bring in to actually hit the ground running next season? And I think kind of going back to that episode we did after the Spurs game in the cup, we spoke about all those young players that were on the bench, and we did a kind of a special episode kind of going through each of them. And I think even back then we were saying, do you know what? Like, let's just play these guys. The league's over. We were I think we were still in, I think we had just got knocked out of all the cups then except for the Europa League. So we were in the same position, then as we were now. But we would have had an opportunity to kind of give those lads a bit more game time and get them used to first team football as well. But yeah, it's good. It's good to see that some of them can actually hold their own, but it is just one game. And like you said, you need to be able to build a bit of that momentum for them as well.
Not only that, but it's a game against Wolves. Now, no disrespect to Wolves because they beat us, but it's not exactly, Liverpool coming to town and putting up a fight. This was not a good Premier League game. Let's just get that out in the clear. This was not a good game for the neutrals to watch, or any Wolves or Man United players to watch. It was a slog at the best of times. But in those sorts of games, you need those moments of quality. And for Sarabia, he pulled one out of the hat. The magician that he is, he's been quite a good Wolves player. You sort of look at the Wolves players that have come through in the past. Ruben Neves comes to mind as to how one player just has the ability to unlock so much. And Mateus Cunha is another one for them. The fact that they're so low down in the table, to be honest, is a bit surprising. But Sarabia and Cunha are going to be on everybody's radar. Cunha is apparently on ours. I don't know if that's going to help or not. I don't know, but we shall see what summer brings.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting that you mentioned, the game was a slog. It was 1-0. The game wasn't going anywhere. But also you'd question the mentality of the team, and this is why it's so weird and strange because you mentioned you lose 4-1 to Newcastle. Nearly kind of gave up in a way. Didn't really shake a leg. Obviously, they had the Europa League in mind a couple of days later. Then they go behind with 8 minutes to go, score 3 goals against Lyon, and then they put up a performance like that against Wolves, and you're just like, well, you've shown me a couple of times throughout the season that you clearly have some sort of fight or determination about you, but there's no excuse to not have that every day out. And it's bad to kind of nearly normalize in a way what we're seeing at the moment. Like, I think that's 14 or 15 defeats this season for United. We were laughing at the points tally, but there's a difference between having quality in the team and then having the right attitude. And at the moment, we're always saying that, we need more quality. Amram needs the players that he wants to actually work within that system as well. But at some stage, you're going to have to put maximum efforts in every game, not just the big ones. And that's really worrying for me that is kind of a core feature within this group of players.
Yeah, it's our 15th loss of the season. I just had to look that up. 1 win in our last 5. Yeah, it has been. It's been tough. It has been tough, and to be honest with you, I think mentally this team is shot. I think the years of very not the strategy that should have happened. This was a strategy transfer wise where we signed those star players past their peak. Casemiro, I think, has actually been putting in some decent performances as of late when he's made appearances, and shown a little bit of what he had. But it's 5 years too late to have Casemiro. Real Madrid sold. When they sell a player, there's probably a reason they're doing that. And you should always be a bit wary when Real Madrid sort of accept an offer of, say, 50, 60 million for a player of theirs that's sort of getting into the twilight of their career. And they go, yeah, all right, you can have him. There's got to be a red flag at that point. Yeah. But obviously, hopefully with this new strategy, it's been better over, I would say, the last two windows. Does the last window count? Dorgu, he's been quite promising. Heaven, before the injury, was looking quite good as well. But I think the likes of De Ligt, I think Mazraoui have been really good this season, and the 15 defeats kind of underpins. I don't think we're weakest defensively. We've had a couple of games where we've conceded 3, 4, 5 goals, and I better not mention any other Tottenham games because I don't want you going back to that stadium now. For goodness sake, stop doing that to yourself. But it's been attack. I'm looking at it. We've scored 38 goals this season. That's only one more than West Ham. When you're looking at Ipswich, they've got 33 goals. That's a huge concern. United have scored 38. Liverpool at the top of the table have scored 75.
Yeah.
That's where the difference is. That's where the difference in quality is. If your rivals, and that's historic rivals, are scoring more than double the amount of goals than you in the season, the problem is up front. And now we haven't got Xerxes for the rest of the season. Ahmad, who was our bright spark, obviously got injured about, what was it? I'm trying to think now.
Months ago now. Yeah.
January, February time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he was out for the season. That was a massive blow. And I think part of the reason for that is we relied on him so much to drag us out of the game. Remember the Southampton game where his hat-trick in the final 15 minutes saved us. And without that...
Southampton as well, yeah.
Yeah, without that, we were losing to Southampton, which, especially this season. Now they've equalised Derby's record now, haven't they, on 11 with 5 games to go. Go on, Southampton. You can do it. We believe in you. You could get a better points total than Derby. Our Nick at GSPN wants Southampton to get more than 11 points because then his beloved Derby still are in the record books.
Yeah. I'm sure he's kind of conflicted with that one, whether that they get a points deduction for something or that they win a game. Either way, he's kind of winning, I suppose. But it's an interesting one, I suppose, with the experienced players as well. You're kind of looking around going, well, where is that kind of winning mentality or that fight coming from? And you can see it in Bruno because he's basically, over the last few months in particular, single-handedly kind of dragging the team to any sort of result we get comes through him. His fingerprints are on all of it. But you're kind of looking around going, well, is there kind of a nucleus there? Is there a core of players that you're like, you could hang their hat on them? And there isn't really. And the proof is there as well when you're looking into those games. So that's kind of something that is concerning because you can't really change that overnight as well. Even if you signed leaders in the summer, they might be leaders somewhere else, but they might need to get used to the dressing room and get used to the players and understand, who's actually going to come with me on this. So that's the bit that will concern me when we're looking to the future where, you can have the right tactical system, you can have the right players in terms of technical ability, but when it comes to that kind of fight and will to win, these smaller teams, if you'd like to say, or teams that don't have the same resources as us, have that fight. So there's really no excuse not to have it and not to be able to show up for these games. But it's like we said, it's a frustrating one, Kieran.
It is, and it's a problem we've known in January, the fact that we have not got the firepower. And I think that's what's even more frustrating is we had maybe an opportunity in January to go out there and even sign someone on loan. We've for example, when we brought in Wout Weghorst, was he the best striker in the world? No, but he added something different. And I think that's what United are lacking right now, especially, I think you can only lament so much about blaming injuries, but if you don't have the squad depth, which this team should have, considering the academy we've got behind us, if you're lacking that squad depth, it's just a massive concern.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll take a quick break there. I'll be back with a bit more discussion about this strange time for us.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
You mentioned Hoyland earlier about, obviously we kind of switched up the team in terms of the personnel. You're thinking, would you give Obi Martin a few minutes to kind of get him up to speed if you're kind of playing a few of these squad players? But he opted for Hoyland. Do you think playing Hoyland in these games is to just say, come on, man, like I'm going to keep playing you until we kind of get you back into form, because we do have these Europa League games coming up, because there's no competition for him. Like, his biggest competition is Harry Maguire for his position at the moment because Xerxes injured. Menu is playing as a makeshift striker as well, and maybe off the nine, but like, it's just not firing for him. He looks like completely devoid of confidence, and it looks like it's kind of getting too big for him and a bit overwhelming for him. Do you think he's kind of playing him so they can kind of get into a bit of form?
When I watched the Europa League game, there was obviously Ugarte's first goal, and Hoyland in that plays a massive factor of drawing the defender into the box. So the cutback can happen from Garnacho, and Ugarte has one of the easiest finishes he's ever going to have. I think Hoyland, position-wise, can get a little bit haywire. I think the instructions to him, I don't know what they are, but sometimes he drifts wide. And for a striker, for the lone striker, surely that's what you've got Garnacho on one side and Fernandes, who's been playing a wing role as well. Whoever's playing on the wings, surely they're the ones that should be given the width. I mean, think about it. You've got, let's say on the left, you've got Garnacho and you've got Dorgu on the left-hand side. That's your wing overlap. As a striker, you should be in the centre. You should be, I don't know, delaying your run into the box so that you've got a chance to get a ball in there. But with Hoyland on the edge of the box, on the left-hand side, trying to deliver a cross in, it's wrong. I'm sorry, it's wrong. He should be in the middle of the box. He should be there if a low cross is coming in, getting a foot on it, or if a ball's coming in, he's got to be heading the ball or getting something on it to get in the back of the net, or the ball's got to go to him over the top or through the middle so he can latch onto it and at least get a chance. But he seems all over the place, and I don't know whether that's because he's being told to do that or whether he's doing that of his own volition. But he's robbing himself of chances by not being that, the fox in the box or the number 9 you actually need in the center of your attack. It just seems like he's missing out on so many opportunities, and 3 goals in the Premier League sums that up for me.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's definitely an element of that, and I think that probably comes with trying too hard, and trying to force it in a way and get involved in the game, because to be fair to him, he can't rely on, and he hasn't been able to rely on, consistent service. So he doesn't really know when to expect things, where to expect things. Like, if you have Garnacho on the wing, how many times does Garnacho get decent ball in, over the course of the season? I think there's a few horrible statistics about some of his play this year where maybe most failed dribbles and stuff. And look, a lot of it is unfair because there's been a lot of pressure placed on him, and maybe he's not that top level that is needed, and he's not being surrounded by a really consistent style of play. He's been played out of position as well, so it is difficult. But I think Hoyland in a way becomes very frustrated then because he doesn't know where to be. He's trying too hard. He's running into channels when he doesn't need to be. And I think another thing with him that I found is that I do think there's something there in terms of a striker, but he always seems to be in such a battle with the defender. He can't seem to get any separation when he does do a run. He's always getting blocked down, or he's always in a big tussle, even when there's kind of a ball played into him to try and hold on to. He always seems like it's a wrestling match. The great strikers are always able to get some sort of separation from them because, of course, it's going to be a battle. You have normally 2 centre halves up against 1 striker, but you don't really see that for top strikers. They're a bit elusive, they're a bit more cute with their runs, can kind of confuse the defenders, but he's nearly looking for a body first to make sure that that's the correct kind of decision and the correct area for him to be in, and then making a run, and it just turns into a 50-50 every time. So I think there's a lot of reasons for it. I think confidence over trying, and maybe a bit of lack of direction as well, and cohesiveness amongst the whole team is probably not going to help him. But I don't know what the answer is. Like, do you just keep playing him and hope that something clicks within the squad? But you're looking at United going, I don't really see anything clicking from back to front, and especially not in that front end of the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes as a striker and sometimes as an attacking player, you've got to know what your own limitations are. I mean, I'm going to bring out Erling Haaland as an example. He's not the best at passing the ball, but he doesn't need to be. At the end of the day, he is a poacher. He's able to get on the end of crosses. He's able to bully other defenders in getting to a ball. And his finishing is unparalleled. Like honestly, his finishing is on another planet. Okay, he might not be able to pass the ball, but he's good at everything else. So don't give him an opportunity to pass the ball. Make sure he's in a position to finish. You've got, for example, you've got a couple of other players, but Robert Lewandowski. He's in his late 30s now. He can't run. So don't give him an opportunity where he needs to latch onto a ball. Give him an opportunity where he's able to have the ball play to the feet and he's able to go from there. Or you do the running on the wings and cut the ball back to him. And he's going to be there. His positioning, because he knows he's not the physical specimen he once was, he needs to be better at positioning himself. And that's what you do. As you get older, you start to know what your limitations are. I feel like Højlund, there is a player there, you're right. But it's a rough player, and we've had him for the last 2 years now, and it's not really improved. If anything, it's got worse. Yeah. And like you say, that could be something to do with the service he gets. It's inconsistent. He doesn't know what to expect. But some of the top strikers have made opportunities for themselves.
Yeah, that never happens.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, am I expecting Højlund to be, a Cristiano Ronaldo or a Lionel Messi who can just change the game by themselves? No. I think those types of players are once in a generation. We were lucky to have them twice in one generation. The point is, though, that he's trying so hard to try and make the opportunity for himself that he's crossing in the ball to himself. Yeah. So it's breaking down at that point, and it needs a really, almost like team cohesion needs to really be brought together in order to understand when the ball needs to be played, when Højlund needs to be in the box, when he needs to be lurking outside it. And as you say, you've got a couple of players there who feel like the world's on their shoulders. Fernandes, Garnacho, who are feeling like they need to change the game themselves. So Højlund gets even fewer opportunities. So it's kind of this vicious cycle that the worse we're doing, the more players want to step up and be the hero. But that ultimately means it's a downfall for other players who probably do have the qualities that we need to change the games.
Definitely. It is a tricky one. There's a multitude of issues there. I think as well around the cohesion and the consistency of the balls into him, but also the team in general. Who's the team built around for United? Because you would say Bruno Fernandes is the best player. You wouldn't say the team is built around Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes has played in about 4 different positions over the last couple of months. Anytime there's an issue, he kind of is either pushed out to the wing, like he has been recently, or he's been played in the kind of lower block when Mount came on midweek. So he's kind of shifting positions probably 2 or 3 times every game. If Bruno is your main focal player who's going to play in the same position every week, then that's fine, but that doesn't happen. So there's no consistency anywhere on the pitch. The players, I think, are nearly going out and kind of freestyling in a way and hoping things kind of happen off the cuff. And that kind of was encapsulated from what we saw midweek. Like the 3 goals were, 3 random bits of play. The first one was kind of a long ball and a bit of a scuffle in the box, got a penalty. The next one then was a bit of genius from Bruno and Casemiro flick around the corner, and then kind of a hopeful ball to the back post from Casemiro as well. So like there was no, that's the way United are playing. It was like last ditch stuff. Like we need to just get the ball forward and let's see what happens. So I think it did kind of summarize the lack of direction that we have in general. And it's just a bit chaotic at the moment. And for a striker that's not confident, that is not a good environment for them to be involved in.
Yeah, it's almost like the cavalcade of errors, isn't it?
Yeah.
That sum up what United has been about this season, and the devil's the inconsistent detail, isn't it? It's just a case of no one has been that consistent performer, and when they have been, they've then gotten injured, and that just seems to be the way. I mean, Fernandes has been, again, he's our top goal scorer in the Premier League, and it looks like he's going to be that. For 2 years in a row now, he's been the top goal scorer.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, except that he's an attacking midfielder, and we've had 3 strikers so far this season. Kind of worrying.
Sometimes he's a defensive midfielder, in games. Like, he's been one of the 2 in midfield, which is just like, it's just madness, really. But yeah, anyway, look, Kieran, thanks for joining me. Another week in the life of being a Man United fan. Like, it's just I don't know.
Always a fun one.
Yeah, it always is. It keeps it entertaining. I'm sure everyone listening in will be either delighted or upset at the result of the weekend, depending on what team you're supporting. But yeah, hopefully United. Hopefully we can kind of continue this journey in Europe, and yeah, we'll see how we get on in the next couple of Premier League games. But Kieran, thanks for joining me. And yeah, check out our socials. Like Kieran mentioned earlier on, we have a couple of reactions from the game last Thursday that you might want to check out. And yeah, if you enjoyed the episode, leave a rating on whatever platform you're using to listen, and we'll see you in the next one.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.